Whether your channel is showing it in your analytics or not, YouTube views on TVs are skyrocketing.
Remember when we're on TV, we just finished watching a Netflix documentary. Now, in our minds, we just watched something that's super high production. We've just seen them spend gazillions of dollars making this thing look super crisp. When we do that immediate swap over to YouTube, the brain is still comparing from what we've just watched. It's on the TV, for heaven's sake. I have a certain expectation.
So do you think, Liron, that creators should be experimenting with this longer form content that's maybe got a story arc in it? Says, I don't anticipate they're going to look up on their TV how to repair my remote control. You know what I mean?
Whether your channel is showing it in your analytics or not, YouTube views on TVs are skyrocketing, and marketers need to start updating their workflows to be ready for this. So this includes thumbnails, video quality, and other aspects that didn't matter as much when YouTube was primarily mobile. So by the end of our discussion today, you're going to know what steps you need to take to make sure your brand looks great on a 65-inch TV as well, plus some other updates that could affect how many views you're getting, one change that could make them go up, and another that could make them go down. We're very excited to be joined by Liron Segev. Liron's a YouTube strategist and AI consultant, helping companies build their online presence on YouTube and other platforms with his custom AI answer content system. And today, Liron, Mike, and I are going to explore what these latest updates from YouTube mean for small business marketers and owners like you. Liron, welcome back to the show.
Always fun to be here, and I love geeking out with you guys. And we're going to go to town once again, as we know.
Yeah. So let's start with thumbnails. YouTube has expanded the thumbnail file size limit. So they used to have to be 2 megabytes or less, and now it's 50. And the whole idea is that we can now upload 4K resolution thumbnails for videos. And they also have a new AI-powered feature that will automatically generate higher resolutions for the videos themselves, starting with videos uploaded below 1080p and then moving them up to higher quality HD. You can disable this feature as a brand, but I'm just curious, Liron, do you think that YouTube viewers are really comparing content quality on YouTube to what they see on Netflix and other streaming services when they watch on the big TV?
Yeah, look, I think it's clear where YouTube's play is, right? It's very much TV, TV, TV. We've seen this time and time again. Now, they have said this was going to be their end goal, and sure as heck, everything is definitely pointing into that direction. We got to remember that when people are watching TV, they're in a very different mind frame. They're in a very laid back position. They're chilling on the couch. They absolutely will have a phone in their hands because God forbid we shouldn't be away from another screen for a couple of seconds. But it's that whole thing of the experience. So we remember when we're on TV, we just finished watching a Netflix documentary or some trashy TV that we shouldn't have been watching, and we probably flick across to YouTube. Now, in our minds, we just watched something that's super high production. We've just seen them spend gazillions of dollars making this thing look super crisp. When we do that immediate swap over to YouTube, even though we know we're on YouTube and we know it's individual creators by and large making these productions, the brain is still comparing from what we've just watched. Whereas we know when we're on a phone, on a dodgy train on the way to the airport or something, we're not really expecting much. But if I haven't moved and I'm still on my couch and all I did was play with the remote, my expectation is for the stuff to be good quality. It's on the TV, for heaven's sake. I have a certain expectations. So the one thing that I think that a lot of us as kind of people who work with clients and with brands, yes, we want to be everywhere. We want to make sure our message is everywhere. We have to look at it from a viewer's point of view, and we got to meet them where they are. And right now, they're a drink in one hand and a phone in another, and they're watching on their couch.
Well, they're barely paying attention. Then how much does the resolution matter? But what I'm hearing you say, though, is it's kind of like when I ask my teen is watching reels or shorts, and I try and have a conversation with them. It's a much less stimulating experience to chat with me, and it's very sudden. Is that kind of how you would explain that if they're watching something high quality on Netflix and all of a sudden they switch to YouTube? Their brain's not like their expectation is higher because of that?
It is, but we also got to do with like a grain of salt here, because the one thing that the dear kind of daily vloggers have ingrained into our head is that it's okay to have shaky camera work, right? It's okay for it not to be perfect. And in fact, I argue that today with AI being everything so perfect, I think that authenticity is really, really going to come through. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I want to make sure we're not misunderstanding. Quality on TV doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean that you as a brand, you're going to now say, well, my budget was this, but now it's TV, so I got 100x it for next season. It's not that. It's about being mindful of where your audience is. So if it does mean that you do have to watch your own stuff, I know this is a shocker, but the biggest mistake I've seen people make is not actually switching on their channel and watching it. They watch it on their computer before they go live. They watch it on their phone. But do they actually go home, turn to their own channel, sit on the couch, which is further away from the screen that we have right in front of us?
Yeah.
Do they do that to see what kind of quality does it come across? What's your first impression? Look at it from a viewer's point of view always.
A couple quick thoughts on this. Obviously, the kinds of things people watch when they're on the couch is longer content. And I don't think that people are going to just be watching these 5 and 10 minute YouTube videos. I think they're looking for the more story videos, the more longer kind of video. And I would imagine that's also advantageous for them because you got more ad inserts inside of it and so on and so forth, right? So do you think, Liron, that creators should be experimenting with this longer form content that's maybe got a story arc in it so that instead of just this like, here's how to do this thing kind of video, because there's more likelihood that will be showing up on the television? Because I don't anticipate they're going to look up on their TV how to repair my remote control. You know what I mean? You know, they're going to be watching something else on the TV, right?
Right. It's the mindset, right? It's yes. So to answer your question, longer form content, I think will do really well. And we've seen the data that shows that those days of trying to stretch it to 10 minutes, I mean, 10 minutes is like a starting point for TV now. You have to go episodic. So here's what I mean. It's people subscribe because they want to know what happens next. Think of it with that mindset versus somebody who just wants to figure out how to fix their washing machine, how to fix their Wi-Fi. They just need 3 steps. For God's sakes, don't make that 45 minutes, right? And as a presenter, someone who owns the channel, we really need to lean into the infotainment world. We have to be informative, but we also got to keep the audience engaged. We want to keep them coming along. The biggest thing that I've seen that has worked really, really well is not cutting out the mistakes, is putting in the bleeps, is that if you happen to sneeze on camera, don't cut that out because that's part of the new experience. Whereas old school YouTube was, I know, get in, get out, deliver quickly, in and out. Got to be, give them value, retain them. Whereas TV is more of a, hey, I'm here to hang out with you. You're in my lounge. I've invited you in. And the great news is for a brand, that's airtime. It blows my mind where people would line up and get on a waiting list to spend $4, $5, $6 million for a 30-second Super Bowl commercial with 100 million people watching, where they could be on TV, literally, in front of billions of people every single day for as long as they want. Yeah. It's that experience of saying, I'm the brand. If I'm able to tell the story, have the story arc, deliver value, keep somebody informed and entertained, they get to know me more as the person rather than the logo. So, and go longer if you can.
For us gray hairs who actually still watch television, I was watching America's Got Talent, you know, and it's really interesting. This season, they're showing a lot more behind the scenes content instead of skits. And they're actually showing the, you know, out in the parking lot, talking to the fans, after breaks, cleaning the stage. They're showing the kind of stuff that they never would have shown in the past. And I think because they're being influenced by what you're talking about, Liron.
That's it. Right? It's exactly that. It's the, think about it. TV has come full circle. Well, they've become vloggers now. You have someone with a mic running around outside, talking to people, man on the street kind of questions. It's all sort of merged together. As content creators, as businesses, as marketers, we should absolutely be embracing this. It's costing us nothing. The cost is zero. It's production. It's all of that. But from a value point of view, and the fact that you have content that lives forever, discoverable forever, that is just absolutely golden. And to your point about the TV and people going outside, when you're trying to watch these shows these days, it used to be a very set formula. You had this thing happen, cut to commercial break. After the break, we have this, a little bit of a recap, get to the end of story, move on to the next. Whereas now it's like the pace is different. And it's almost like the pace is trying to keep you more engaged, almost like a retention curve that we have on YouTube.
Well, they're trying to keep you from staring at your phone. Like that's the game. I mean, even Netflix is doing that now. There was an interview when I forget what it was. Some Ben Affleck movie came out, and he was like, "Yeah, they make us repeat the plot every 4 minutes just because people aren't paying attention like they want."
I remember seeing that, and I thought, well, that's wild. It's like the retention, like the rehook, because people's minds is more like, what happened 2 minutes ago? Like, because I was distracted. I was on my phone. Oh, look, someone sent me a reel, and like my brain doesn't work where I have to do two things at once. Like I have the gray hairs to prove it. So I have to pause the TV. Like I'm at the age where I have subtitles on the TV. Otherwise, I don't know what's going on, that kind of thing. But people are now multitasking, and our brains do not multitask regardless of what they tell us. So yeah, we always got to do that. But remember, as content creators, let's do the same thing. Let's get into the rehook. Let's remind people whilst they're there. Without being, without dumbing it down. Look, hey, just remember, we're still here on TV. Like, we're not doing that, but more of, oh, you're here for this. We've just done part A. Let's get into part B now. It's almost like a quick recap. That's retention. That's what we want.
So Mike mentioned that, it seems to be longer content is performing well on TVs. There is a new feature rolling out to YouTube that I think could push back to some shorter content, which we'll talk about here in a second. How's that for a rehook? But real quick, what I'm curious about with this, Liron, is as marketers, we're thinking, okay, more people are going to start watching the channel on TV. I do not have a Marvel superhero movie budget. What's the low-hanging fruit? What?
You have a Marvel t-shirt.
Yes, I do have lots of those. But what's the low-hanging fruit? Like, is it just trying to make higher quality thumbnails to start? Or, what are the steps that we should start taking first?
Nothing changes. Right, it's the same golden rule that we've had forever. Let's start with the thumbnail. The fact that you can upload a 50 megabyte thumbnail, cool. But if it's a crappy thumbnail that's so busy and nobody knows what's going on in it, it's still a crappy thumbnail, but in super high def. And now everybody knows you suck as opposed to thinking you suck, right? The rules do not change. All we got to do is we got to say, okay, like I keep going back to this, so forgive me. As a viewer, watch it as a viewer. You're sitting on the couch. A channel comes up. Do you have a channel banner? Like, how does that look? Like, that's free real estate. Most people haven't even given that a second thought. That's branding. If I said to you, hey, it's $10,000 for every time your banner shows up, I'll have people lined up the door. But the fact that it's free, nobody gives it a second thought, right? So channel banner, super important for your channel. But what does that look like on a phone? Yes. What does it look like on your computer? But what does it look like on a 65-inch TV? You've got to make sure that it's legit and it works right. So
there's a whole other section. Like there's a whole other part at the top and the bottom on TVs that doesn't even show on the other devices.
And but YouTube gives you that option when you upload your channel. It tells you, hey, if you size it for here's where it's going to cut off. So get your designer, go to AI for God's sakes, and give them a dimension and say, I need the same thing to work here, here, and here. And there we go. It's free. You've got it. You can actually do cool things like, that the point where it cuts it out for the TV versus a computer, have additional info on the TV that looks like an ad. Have a little thing that looks like, good old, anybody remember banner ads on a website that did pay-per-click? Okay. Have one of those on the sidebar. It's your space. Why are we not using that? So low-hanging fruit, super easy to do. Second low-hanging fruit is your thumbnail. Same rules apply. Not busy. What's the aim of the thumbnail? Only one thing, to stop somebody scrolling and going, oh, what's that? That doesn't change. If it's on a phone, a PC, if it's on a TV, those rules don't change. What do? Sit on your couch, look at that thumbnail. A 1080p thumbnail looks amazing if it's designed well on TV. If it's clear, simple colors, not a lot of text, it hooks you in saying, hey, without giving away the plot, saying this is what this video is about, it hooks you in. Same rules apply. Again, low-hanging fruit. And then the final thing that anybody can do, forget big budget, just do one thing. Deliver on your promise. You've made a promise in your title. You've made a promise in your thumbnail. You said you're going to give me this. Give me that. Start with that in mind. Deliver instantly, and there's huge value, which we'll get to about how AI looks at that content. But deliver that instantly, and then you have some time to relax and then be the infotainment and then stretch it out for as long as you need to. But super easy to do. 3 things. Anybody can do this.
And that last one applies to all formats, of course. But the goal here is get them to put down the TV remote for a second and pick up their phone instead, so that so that they can engage. I have to admit, I've never watched my own channel on TV, which is something I definitely need to do. So another big change is TV viewing is changing how viewership is being measured. There's a new analytics metric called unique reach, and it's basically designed to figure out the total number of people that may be actually watching your video, including co-viewing scenarios on TVs and shared devices. So there's the unique viewers metric, which is how many individual logged in viewers are watching something. But then there's also this other one where they're estimating how many people might be watching. So they might estimate that there's 3 people watching on a couch, which is, more closely aligned with how traditional TV advertising measurement is done here. So I mean, I'm a little skeptical about how, they're basically saying we're guessing here, but are we likely to see our numbers go up? Or, what do you expect here with all about YouTube and tech?
And are the TVs actually tracking us and sending it off to Nielsen? They know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, shameless plug. I got a whole video about that. The thing is that it's purely now, just shows you how serious YouTube is about TV. They're now using TV metrics to measure viewerships. So the fact is that is true. People do watch together. People do sit as a family and watch a 3-hour D&D podcast that's happening. They just do. They watch gameplay for 2 hours. They watch it as a group. So YouTube is saying to us, look, you produce content that invites the community in to watch together. Well, we kind of want to give you a rough idea that we like this kind of time zone with this kind of content, we kind of expecting to see these kind of results. So it is a good number. It's not gospel. It's just an indicator. What's exciting for us as marketers is let's throw those into the script. Let's throw those into the content that we make. Like, hey, grab your team. I'm about to tell you this. Now you're inviting an audience to watch it. So it's not just you solo. Cooking shows, cooking channels do this really, really well. So, all right, everybody, get around. We're about to do this. Right? I know this is on the TV, so you can pause it at any moment, but make sure your kids are helping you. Like you're inviting this more of as an experiential rather than thinking old school YouTube. And by old school, we mean like 2 hours ago. Like old school YouTube, watching on your phone, solo with headphones. So it gives us a great opportunity. Where I see it just being kind of abused, so to speak, is, we know we're going to see creators going, hey, look, I've got 15,000 unique reach and I've got it versus my TV audience. Will you pay me 3 times as much?
Yeah.
So we just got to be careful when we do brand deals and we talk to creators that what are the numbers that we're actually looking for? The stuff that we can still measure is the stuff that YouTube has traditionally measured. That still should be the baseline. And yes, allow for some additional fluff of, hey, this kind of content. Yeah, there's probably a little bit more. Is it 3 times the budget more? Yeah, I'm not buying that.
So if we start saying things that almost imply group viewing, do you think that could fudge the numbers almost? Or
yeah, it's more of, look, there's no real numbers. They can't really say to you, hey, 17 and a half people watch that show, together on a couch. That's not. But if you think about it, if they have something like the World Cup that's happening at the moment, some people watch by themselves. A lot of people, if it's an evening game after dinner, you've got to assume that more than one person is sitting in this household watching the World Cup together. So if you're a creator and you're creating entertainment kind of content, or if you're a business and you're creating almost like a webinar experience, but for God's sake, don't just upload your webinars, but you're creating that kind of experience, it's not unheard of to think that, okay, then you can present it in such a way that you're talking to a group of people rather than what traditional YouTube is. Oh, it's a one-to-one. We're going to make that engage, that connection with that one person. I'm making this video for that one avatar. Now we got to start thinking TV, wider audience. Let's bring in better in our script, like inviting other people in. And could that help us? We don't know for sure, but we can see the indicators saying, these are our base numbers. Here is our TV audience. Everything's going up. A lot of channels are, the number one source is now TV. It's all going into that direction. and to your point, Michael, earlier about stretching out to making a longer form video, it all starts to tie in, and you put this whole package together.
I like that, bring in your team, bring in your family, depending on your demographic, just kind of weaving some of that stuff in as you go. And so if it's 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a marketer is listening to this and they look at their analytics and they go, wow, my unique reach is significantly higher than my unique views. Like what can they do with that? Or what can they, I guess, pull from that, if anything?
It's nice in the reports, I guess.
Okay, I was just like, cool.
But hold on a second. If you do bake ads in there and you have sponsors like some of these guys do, that is a value add for them. You know what I mean? Because
if for value add for the creator or value add for YouTube itself?
No, what I mean is that if you're one of those creators where you happen to have a sponsor or you have a product that you sew into the videos and you actually make like a baked in commercial break, not the YouTube ones, that will increase the value proposition for the relationship you have with that vendor. Does that make sense? Because you would want to show off that number, because I would imagine that would make their advertising with you even more valuable.
Absolutely. And prettier on the report, easier to get approval, good for the feedback cycle so that you get picked up again as a follow-up sponsor so they can work with you again. Absolutely. The caveat here is that just to be careful from a sponsorship point of view. If you're a brand doing sponsors with creators, that you got to ask for both numbers. Don't be, if a video has 5,000 views and 15,000 unique, don't be impressed by the 15,000 unique. Ask for the actual numbers. And yes, use the 15,000 as a great indicator and saying, oh, cool, it's pulling in a bigger audience. Awesome. It doesn't mean 3 times the budget because it's 15 though.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Well, I think too, if you're the ad buyer or you are buying influencer campaigns, you can also sense from the audience, like, yeah, this channel is for families and it, probably kids and parents watching together or teams or whatever that might be. So we don't know officially how YouTube is making this estimate, but as you mentioned, Liran, time of day is definitely a factor in there. Evening probably means a higher chance of multiple viewers. The device, certainly a TV versus a mobile phone, demographics, the video genre, different things like that. So if I'm a brand buying ads or trying to sponsor a channel, like how much trust would you put into these numbers? Again, just because it's this estimate, right?
It's the same as the numbers that we have on TV, like the Nielsen numbers, right?
Yeah, which are not accurate, but it's what we have.
But it's an indicator. That this kind of show, on average, at this time of frame, we're expecting these kind of numbers. I think with YouTube, it's not unsimilar to YouTube. Where would I make that my main primary focus? Certainly not. Would I look at working with a creator as a buyer and saying, okay, well, let's look at last month. Let's look at an average unique across a couple of your videos. Oh, the trend seems to be going up. You seem to be attracting a bigger audience than just your YouTube views. I feel good about working with you. In fact, I feel good even paying you more because I can see that we're growing an audience together. Your videos hit, it has a wider audience. The one thing that, like I was saying earlier, that I would be very cautious about is just seeing that 15,000 unique, right? You want to have the real numbers, and then you want to have the second numbers as an indicator of where this audience is.
Okay, that makes sense. So some channels may see their numbers go up because of this new measurement. Meanwhile, something else that may start to make numbers go down, hopefully it won't, but Ask YouTube is basically the AI chatbot on the consumer side for YouTube channels, and they're now expanding that to smart TVs, gaming consoles, streaming devices, different things like that. And so if you have this feature, you can ask YouTube using your TV remote's microphone button from the homepage, the search page, while watching videos. Even part of it is you can search in that way, but you can also ask it to answer questions for you and get an AI generated response instead of the standard video results. So I'm curious, as this rolls out, I mean, for marketers who rely on getting videos watched, Liran, is this the beginning of AI results replacing some of that video viewing, similarly to what we've seen happen to blog traffic over the last few years?
You've nailed it. Similar to what we've seen to blog traffic. I remember in our days,
Hoping you wouldn't say that.
people used to actually, I don't know, read the blogs and spend time on it. And we put a lot of time and effort building websites that had good quality. Just the reality is that things have changed, right? People just want an answer, and attention span being what it is. And now AI saying, oh, you don't have to search 20 different places. I'll just give you the answer straight to your device, wherever you happen to be. Remember that at the end of the day, when all said and done, as marketers, we don't really care about views. We care about getting results. We're caring about an ROI. So if I'm working with a client and we're able to get them into AI, we're able to get them to be the answer to questions, they get to be trusted, and their phone starts to ring, that is far more important than, well, we got you 100,000 likes on the video from the Philippines, we'll never buy from you, right? So I always look at this as saying, where's the value at? What are we trying to do at the end of the day with content full stop? It's all marketing. What is the point of marketing? Get more clients, make more money. That is the ultimate goal. Right now, all that's happening is things are changing. You're going to get an answer really, really quickly. So if you just want to know, if you're a tax company, and if you just want to give, and you're talking about a certain tax form, and somebody just wants to know what is the number of that tax form that I need to file, AI will give it to you. You'll just do a quick search and it will tell you it's A75B. That's it, right? But it doesn't give you the information. It doesn't give you the experience. When you're filling in that form, what does that line mean? How does that work? Like, what should you put here and not put into that line? For that, you have to watch the video.
You know, this is really intriguing because as you were talking, Liran, I was looking at what Google stated this thing is. And what it looks like to me is basically Gemini. So if anybody has ever used Google search, they know what Gemini is. It's those AI, I mean, it's kind of like a version of it, is those AI answers at the top. But effectively, what they've done is they have activated search on top of the YouTube video while you're actually watching it, which I think is golden because it allows you as the watcher to continue to watch the video and query it right over the top of it instead of pulling up your phone, right? So it keeps your eyes on the TV in this particular case. And that's kind of cool. So, you know, like what was that thing that they mentioned 5 minutes ago? That's kind of a big deal because normally, video is linear and it's really hard to go back and find those kind of things. I feel like this kind of is going to unlock some possibilities. What do you think about that?
And especially if you start weaving in things like website links. What's the URL? Right. So the stuff that we were always scared to do because always like link is in the description, right? Now, because of search, you're able to actually say, go to the website and say the website name and give the link. Because as you said, as you're going through, you're saying, well, wait, what was that website again? It will now give you the link. Again, making you trustworthy. Again, makes you good information. Especially when you want to say, "Hey, like we've got a whole video about this on our Instagram. Here is our Instagram handle. Give the handle," as opposed to saying, "Oh, go find us on Instagram." So the way we kind of got around this up to now for TV is have a QR code. We tried that and have people try scanning it. That didn't really work so well. I've never scanned a QR code in my life on TV because of a video. But with this, I can add to your point, Michael, the whole thing is I can sit there and going, hold on, he brought up a good point about this. I don't remember what the website was, especially if it's a GitHub repository. And I'm never going to remember the link to it. Just do it on your phone. Do it as you're talking through your voice, and that pops up. That's amazing.
Well, and it's not even that; it's the remote control. So Apple TV, like mine has a little iPhone button on it where it just talks. So I think you brought up a really good point. And keep in mind that Gemini, which is powering all of this, is a vision model, one of the few AI systems that has full multimodality, meaning they can see also what's going on the screen. They don't just work off of transcripts. Okay. So you could use lower thirds in this case, and I would bet that AI would pick up on that. So this is kind of where we're going with this, is the idea that you can query a show or a movie or whatever, or like a YouTube video while you're watching it, I think is kind of next level. And because you can do it through your voice, that's going to activate people's creativity in pretty big way, and it could lead to a lot of fascinating things.
Well, and if you think about add to cart, if you think about something like somebody shows something within the video, you could say that, oh, I like that water bottle that this person just had. Just remind me to look it up later. And that's all you got to say in natural talk. Hey, remind me to do this. And it will understand, oh, you did it at this time frame. This was what was going on. This is what's on the screen right now. Let me make a note and remind you later.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about SEO and perhaps titling, and if more search is happening via voice, not only from this Ask YouTube feature, but also from people who talk to ChatGPT and it sends them to YouTube. I remember 10 years ago, I was at an agency and we had this blogger that was convinced voice search was the future then. And so she wanted to start writing blogs that Amazon smart speakers would basically pull for answers, and that she wasn't the only one. That didn't ever quite become the norm. And our AI tools now are so much smarter than the Amazon device. I don't want to set anybody's speaker off, but I'm curious: should we be
Alex?
Alex, there you go. Should we be changing how we title or think about SEO in this way, or is the algorithm already smarter than that anyway? Because I know keywords don't have to be as exact as they did 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we've always gone after discovery, right? We've titled our videos in a way that we've said, hey, YouTube, you know the audience, you know the data, you work it out. Like, don't wait for someone to actually search. You figure out, test it with a whole bunch of audiences until you find my people, and then show more of my videos to those people. That's the discovery method. We're almost kind of gone back full circle to the search method. Well, should we be focusing on going after search traffic? So I'm in two minds about this. So to me, there's no blanket rule. I would certainly not advise any channel to only go discovery or only go after search. But I would say that especially if you're a business and your content is about getting more customers, you've got to look at YouTube as, especially now, you've got to look at it in a way that is more almost website-like. Almost think of it that way, where on a website, you have your FAQ section, right? On YouTube, we should be doing the same. We should have a shorts FAQ playlist. And those should be just videos answering questions that people have asked. And the most important thing, to your point about the title, is instead of saying best 5 tips to sell your home quickly, nobody's typing that in, right? Nobody's typing in lawn care products Arizona. They're typing in, what are the best lawn care products in Arizona for summer? Well, great. Make that your title. But should you do that for every single video? Absolutely not. What we don't want to do is we don't want to sacrifice one to favor another. So we've got to make a decision. Where do we want to be? We want to be, are we YouTube first? Great. Let's play the YouTube game. But not forgetting that there's loads and loads of offshoots of the AI, AEO, GEO, SEO, all that value that comes out of that. So let's follow those rules as well, because you can double dip in this case.
I have some thoughts here. I have a whole another show called AI Explored, and I'm deep into this rabbit hole. And one of the things that I'm learning, in the olden days with AI, it was very much about how you prompt it, okay, and the words you used. And now AI has gotten so good that it understands context. You could say it wrong, you could type it wrong, it's still going to figure it out because it understands the context in which everything else that's around it is. And I'm hypothesizing that now that AI has eyes and ears, meaning it hears what we say, not just reads transcripts, it has eyes so it can see what's happening. When we search in the future, I think we're going to be able to have some videos pop up that were not optimized for YouTube search, because they're now understanding the full context of what's happening. They're actually watching and listening. So the idea of keyword stuffing and making all these titles, I think, no, it's really all about optimizing the title and the thumbnail for humans, and then letting AI do the rest of the work, because I have a sense that that's kind of where we're heading. What do you think, Liran?
Yeah, if we want to kind of go one level deeper, we have the concept of a fan out query, right? So the way that AI works is that when you're typing in what is the lawn care product I should buy for my lawn in Arizona in summer? It says, well, that's the first query. But what else is surrounding that query that could help you get a better answer? And it might be, who are the best landscapers in Arizona? And it could be, what are pesticides are illegal in Arizona? It's trying to figure out all this world of context to work out what other queries you could be actually asking. Was all AI is a predictive model. It's trying to work out what is the next thing you're not saying that will add value to you. So when it comes to YouTube as the platform, we're trying to say, okay, this person, we're making this content for this audience. Let's focus on that particular audience because the transcript is there already. The transcript is golden AI content, AI fodder, as we call it. It's all there. Well, here's the magic secret that I'm doing a lot of with my clients, which I guess no longer going to be a secret. But remember, as you're going through your transcript, as you're putting in this, your script together, think of something that your user, your customer would be physically typing into AI in a human way and work that wording into the actual transcript itself so that when you present it on camera, you're presenting it in a way that they're typing it in.
You mean the script?
In a script, sorry, not the transcript, in the script itself, sorry. English, not good. So as you're going through and you're saying, so instead of saying, like, here are 5 products I would recommend, you could probably work something in. It's like, my friend Jerry, he asked me, like, what are the best 5 products I would recommend? So you kind of work that into it. Number one, it makes you more entertaining, more relatable, because now you're giving the story as opposed to just regurgitating facts. But now you're also feeding the beast. You're giving more information. So, Mike, to your point about it being aware and understanding the context, it will figure this stuff out. None of us are smart enough to outpace all those algorithms and those neural networks, and nobody's got a super secret hack to hack the algorithm. But it's about playing the game smartly, understanding the viewer, understanding what kind of information that it wants, and just delivering what you promised. So people ask questions. This is why I focus so much on this side of it. Whereas people are asking questions, give the answer immediately, because that's the bit, the first 100 words, that's the bit that AI will immediately look at. Then take your time and go into the video and produce everything else. Same with your written content. Here's the question. First 100 words immediately gives the answer, and loads of personalization. You've got to give your own stuff, because if AI wrote the stuff for you in the first place, why would AI then cite you as the source if it wrote it in the first place? It doesn't have anything it doesn't already know. So we're kind of in that situation of add as much proof as possible that makes it personal, have data that AI itself doesn't have, and immediately it elevates you as the authority.
Love it. And I want to just reemphasize what you said about making just this simple shorts playlist of the FAQs. We have this perception that shorts die after 2 to 7 days, but I've got a few shorts on my channel from 3 years ago that are getting more views now, like hundreds of views a month now, when they might have gotten 200 in their first month 3 years ago. And it is those FAQs. It's those exact things. So earlier, Liran, you mentioned, talking to your device and saying, hey, remind me later to look up this thing. And YouTube is now letting people buy directly from their TVs with 2 clicks. Basically, it's buy with Google Pay on connected TVs. And so if there is an ad, they can literally go through this 2-click workflow, assuming they've put in their payment information in the past. So you don't have to necessarily have the QR code or load it on your phone or anything with that. What's your reaction to that? And how do we take advantage of that as we start to see it roll out?
It's the same as the short form platforms like a TikTok, where it's a TikTok shop where you can instantly check out. Same as affiliate links, affiliate that you can do on YouTube itself, on your computer or your phone. This is just another vector where you can do it on the TV. And YouTube is smart by saying, if you don't leave our app, you will keep you on, plus we'll make some sales. And we'll share the commission very poorly, but we'll share the commission with the creator at the same time. Super great. As a business, if you're selling an individual widget, individual item, low ticket item, if you're an influencer and you got your own product and your merch, I think that's really, like, why would you not want to at very least experiment with it? For sure. Higher ticket items, the same discussion that we had the last time we spoke, where if it's a $2,000-$3,000 consulting, $2,000-$3,000 mastermind, you're not going to check out in 2 clicks. You're going to need to at least go to a landing page and get some sort of referral and get on a call with someone. I like the fact that YouTube is thinking, hey, how can we make it simple for the viewer? That's great. If I had a merch product, if I was selling my hat, if I was selling my whatever it may be, absolutely. Why would you not want to have another sales channel? For sure. Make it super, super simple. Is this going to take off and replace traditional going onto Amazon, doing your searches? Not yet. But again, I don't think we're far off from the situation of remind me to look at this later. Hey, add this to my shopping list. Hey, send this to my wife so that she was interested in this. Having a conversation like you would with another person whilst you're sitting and watching content, I think that's where we're going. Where instead of having an individual experience, we might be doing it together in a group and sharing that experience and watching something. Great. But also we might be sharing that experience with someone who's not physically with us. And we tend to forget, let's be honest. So being able to go, oh, just remind me to deal with this later. Oh, this reminds me that I haven't phoned the doctor yet. Okay, just remind me to do that as well. Like all of that is good value add. Now, if there's an option saying, oh, yeah, I needed to get Heritage Jam shampoo, add that to my cart.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You know, I'm looking at this. It looks like this came out of Australia, of all places, Google Australia. But they're saying that 35 billion hours of shopping related videos were watched on YouTube, with a big chunk of them happening in the living room. And they're saying these tagged shopping videos, which I don't even know what the heck that means, are going to be able to scan QR codes while instantly opening a product page on the phone. So I'm assuming are we talking about the same thing here? I mean, is this what we're talking about, Jerry? Or
I think it's related. It's not the exact same thing. What they're describing here is literally being able to buy from your remote.
So have you ever watched Amazon TV or on Amazon Prime, whatever the video service is called? At some points during your ads, it will actually, little thing pops up saying, hey, add this to my cart.
Oh, okay.
So, and you click that button, it actually opens up Amazon on your phone and it puts that into your cart. I think that's kind of where YouTube wants to head. Make it super simple to check out.
So, but I guess this is a whole genre of kind of
commas
YouTube creation.
Yeah,
like a shopping video. I mean, like, are there people literally creating videos on YouTube that are effectively designed specifically to review products? I would imagine they are. And you know, I mean, like, is this a huge thing, Liron?
Well, I'll first say yes, because people who are reviewing products anyway, you might as well get paid an affiliate link and just add it. But the other thing that we haven't spoken about is, what about live shopping, live TV, live streaming, where you could be, I mean, we know in the Far East, that's the big thing. We know shops like Whatnot, the platform Whatnot, is crushing it with their live social shopping. Yeah, it's not unthinkable that YouTube wants to be in that game of saying, hey, I'm on this thing, I'm going to be selling stuff, but I'm also building my community at the same time. Those watch hours are insane, the number that they get from people. Especially, I'm a big nerd into Pokemon with my kids. Blame them, not me. But if you watch Pokemon channels where they're opening up Pokemon cards and they're giving it away to their audience.
You talk about Pat Flynn, right?
For example, like just saying, like our mate Pat. Here's like, if you just go watch that, it's 15,000 people watching for 2 hours as somebody else, they haven't won, somebody else is winning this pack. They already know up front who's going to win because they just won the draw as it happened live, and they're sticking around for 2 hours.
Wow.
You think about it, that's wild. Why would they do that? It's got nothing to do with it, but they're there for the experience, for the communal experience. So that's going back to what I was saying. It's used to be me, my phone, but now it's me, my phone, and a bigger community and a bigger audience. And they watch together as Pat, finds another card.
Should I open it or should I build? Right?
Shout out to Pat. That's now add. Hey, would you like my Pat merch? Would you like my Deepak and Monster merch? Would you like to buy a pack? And that pops up on the screen. You go add to cart.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
This is such a fascinating shift that we're watching away from speak to one viewer to so much more here. So this has been really fascinating. Liron, thank you for joining us today. If people want to explore working with you, where do you want to send them?
Head over to lironsegev.com. I'm there, or I'm online everywhere, I guess. Just Google me, but the good stuff, not the bad stuff.
What about your YouTube channel? Is it also your name?
Yeah, also my name. And I've got a new one for AI stuff that we're really going deep into this. We're about to really go with lots of content because I don't know if you heard, but AI is a thing now. It's a thing. I'm telling you. You should look into it.
How do they find that?
It's Liron Build Systems. It's super nice. I'll share a link with you guys later, right?
Awesome. Liron and Jerry, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And if you missed anything, folks, we took all the notes for you over at socialmediaexaminer.com/Tevin28. That's 728. If you're new to the show, be sure to follow us. If you've been a listener for a little while, we would love a review, and do check out our other show, the AI Explored podcast. This brings us to the end of the Social Media Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Stelzner. I was joined today by my co-host, Jerry Potter. We'll be back with you next week. I hope you make the best out of your day, and may your marketing keep evolving. Catch you next time.